replaces Moussa Diaby? That is the question that I'm asking you guys today at home. Fabrizio Romano is now saying that Moussa Diaby's talks are pretty much at an advanced stage. Diaby's going. Diaby is going. He's gone. He's off. So the next question, what do we do? Who replaces him? Who plays in that role? So a lot of you will know that I've been I'd say I've tried to stick up for Diaby a lot because I believe that there's a player there, and I believed that next season with a pre-season under Unai Emery, like Bailey, second season, he was going to flourish and do really, really well for Aston Villa. But I do agree that there were some question marks on Diaby's game, on how he played that role, that there had to be massive improvement. Like that we had to have room for improvement. But if you looked at the numbers, barring goals and assists, his numbers were better than Leon Bailey's last season in chance created, expected assists, all the metrics. He was slightly stronger than Bailey. So there was a player there. He was creating stuff and a couple more goals and he'd have had even better numbers. But we move on. So the role that Diaby played as the, shall we say, second striker. So second striker, we all know that this is the role that Diaby played. So he played alongside Ollie Watkins and he would drop into this midfield and make up a box midfield. That's the Diaby role. The Diaby role is supporting the striker, dropping into this area, and that is the area that Diaby played. So the plus points of what you want from this player are for them to support the striker, run off Bailey, make those runs in behind, drop into midfield, collect the ball on the half turn, break through lines, drive forward, and it's sort of help out Bailey, help out your midfield. That is the Diaby role. Now, the area that Diaby, I felt, was not so great in, and it was the role of receiving the ball with his back to goal. I felt like that was a bit of a problem for Diaby. And if you look at how a winger would like to receive the ball, they would like to receive the ball with green grass in front of them, with a defender in front of them, 1v1, you beat that player, get to the byline, put the cross in, put the ball in, etc. That's what Bailey loves to do. 1v1, get it on his left foot, he'll beat anybody. Tricky, slow it down, bring players into play. But generally, Bailey has his head up and he's looking at what's in front of him. Now, this second striker role, a lot of the time, he's receiving the ball with his back to goal. So he's got to either have the ability to turn, he's got to have the ability to give and go. So that role was quite difficult for Diaby, especially in a physical Premier League at times, to get the best out of him. So this role, to me, is quite specialised and it needs a specialised player. And one of the areas that next season we're going to have one of the biggest things that we're going to have in front of us are pretty much 11 players, low block, mid block. And Ryan's used the phrase in our group chat of what we need. And it is a mid block unlocker. That is what we need. That's what Ryan said. A mid to low block unlocker. And it's true. And if you look at our team, we've got a lot of those players that can do that. I mean, I'll just put any team up. You could look at our team, you could say, okay, McGinn on the left, you could say Rodgers on the left, Ramsey on the left, Ilan Jr. on the left, Tielemans on the left. You could say any player could go on that left-hand side. When you're thinking we've got players like Buendia as well. So we've got a lot of creative players. But where I'm at with Diaby leaving is he needs to be replaced because we need a top-level quality, high-end elite player coming in my opinion. Because yes, some may say that's why we've got Onana, we're using the Diaby money. I don't really buy. I think we would go for Onana anyway. So I think that's that one. We have Philogene coming back on the right. Is that the Diaby replacement? I would hope not, because I think for as good as Philogene is, for as good as what his potential is, whatever you think of Diaby's got the numbers in the Premier League. Did he get 19 goal involvements last season? Now that's a lot of goal involvement. 19 goal involvements last season. That's a lot, that is. So I don't think Philogene is a replacement whatsoever. So I think we do need to go out and sign someone. But I think they've got to suit a role. And I think this is the role that I think. And when I look at this role, I do think of a classic number 10. And we're now hearing that the new rumour around Joao Felix is from Radio Marca, that watch out for Aston Villa with Joao Felix. And the more I think of Joao Felix and the more I think of where he would play, the more I think he would suit this position. And we know that Unai Emery has been a long-term admirer of Joao Felix. It's pretty much out there that has been a thing. He wants him, he likes him, he rates him. And I do think he'd play this role really, really well. I think what he would do in the role is he would be the link between the midfield and Watkins, the link between Bailey and Watkins. And I just think Joao Felix in this role would be really, really good. And I think it would be a role in which Felix has not freedom, but he has more license to be more creative. I think when I think of when Felix plays on that left-hand side for Barca or Portugal, I don't think he gets his full capability out of his whole game on that left-hand side. I think he could play more central and he'd have a bigger role. I think if you're looking at Villa on that left-hand side now, the options are so stacked. They are so stacked. It would be like unbelievable to make another signing of someone who can go on the left-hand side, because you've got Ealing Jr., you've got Rodgers, you've got Ramsey, you've got Tielemans. And yes, we've got options. You know, you could say McGinn and Tielemans could play in that role. And then that would leave Rodgers and Ramsey. And then that would leave Ealing Jr. But, you know, we've got a lot of players that play, especially on that left-hand side, and are really comfortable on the left-hand side. So this player is really important that we really get right as well. And I think not only do we get right, the player looks really comfortable playing in there as well. I think that's the thing that I want. You know, we've also been linked with Maximilian Bayer, who I think would do that role really well as well. And then we have the Nico Williams chat as well, who... Look, it would be an unbelievable signing for Aston Villa. It would be amazing. But does he suit how we've been playing? Now, we may move our system and we may completely change our system to something else. And we'll see that today at Walsall. We're doing a watch-along, Walsall watch-along. So we'll be doing that tonight. So make sure you are joining. So I know Felix plays on the left, and I'm saying Felix comes in and plays more central. But I just think for Villa to get Nico Williams, it's going to have to be a monumental effort to get him here. I think the worst part about Nico Williams' deal is the fact that he's got a release clause, which basically, you know, if you're talking about what his release clause is, what is it, 45 million? So you're saying that it's absolute peanuts for teams like Chelsea. Villa can afford it. Most big clubs could afford 45 million. The wages around 200 million, or 200 grand, sorry. So 200 grand a week. We could, at a push, probably try and get there. Do you know what I mean? But again, that would be really difficult. So I think and it's basically like a free transfer for him, isn't it? Whoever triggers it, he can pick where he goes. He can pick where he wants to negotiate. So the ball is solely in his court. Without a release clause, Villa could go 80 million. Nico Williams, do you want to come to Villa? And it's like, who's going to bid more than 80? So he has a decision to make, but Villa have made a big decision to invest that amount of money in him. So the release clause makes it pretty much near enough impossible for Villa to get, because a lot of big clubs will probably bid, and who knows whether Villa can match it or go with it. So for me, I think the rumours now from Radio Marca saying about Joao Felix, he plays on that left-hand side, but I think he could play more central. And I think this specialised position for Villa would be really important. Last season for Barcelona, he got 7 goals. He got 3 assists. We know his talent's there. And he's a player that needs a home. He needs a home. He needs to feel loved. And I think he could flourish in this role. So for me, I think it would be a good signing. I do really think it would work at Villa for him. A lot of you compared him to Coutinho. But I think when we signed Coutinho, look at the age of Coutinho. Joao Felix is 24, 25 this year. He's got a lot of years ahead of him. And I think he's got a lot of his better years ahead of him as well. So I think it's important that we get this one right, because this Diaby deal is now being touted at around 70 million. And we know that footballers, and we hear it all the time, don't we? Every player has a price. And we've got to the point now where I don't think we would have wanted to sell Diaby, but the 70 million, you don't turn that down. Like, you don't turn it down. And when Saudi come in, you rinse some for every penny. So you want him, you pay the 70. That is fantastic business from an Aston Villa point of view. What it also means is that we were able now with PSR to go into this window and literally do what we wanted. But we would have probably have got to the end of next season in the same position of having to make a player sale. This Diaby deal and the Duran deal, hopefully, and the Dendoncker deal and one of the left-back deals and somebody else, whoever may be, now pretty much means if you're looking at profit of what we've made in this window, it's absolutely mental. So it pretty much means that going into next summer, we won't have to probably make a sale, which is absolutely huge as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see who comes in for Diaby. My opinion, somebody has to come in. I'm not buying this, it's Philogene, and that's why we got him back. We may have got him back, but at the end of the day, in my opinion, we knew Philogene was coming back the day he left, because it came out that personal terms had already been agreed before he left. So you don't put a matching rights clause. You don't put a 30% off clause. You don't agree his terms before he goes if you have no intention whatsoever about him coming back. So Philogene, for me, must have always been coming back. So there we go. Right, so Joao Felix, I think he could play this role quite well. So we've got the watch along tonight. Warsaw, let's go. Big one. Buendia, back. Buendia is back. Anybody hoping to see the new kit? It's not happening. We are playing in a white Adidas kit that is going to be auctioned off, and it is not the kit. The kit apparently is being released in America. So the kit today is not the kit. So anyone excited to see the kit tonight? It's not happening. Right, so let me know, Joao Felix, what are your thoughts on the role that the new player would have to play as well? That is interesting. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you're smashing the likes, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.